Well, we made it to another one.
We did. Another one. We've had 460 previously. That puts us at 461. And we've got another question answers because they just keep coming in. But before we get to that, we got some things that we want to mention. We have another post-incident analysis
with Mike Callan. And he is doing IDLH. What was it? IDLH, the utility.
Electricity as the hazard.
Oh, he's got a couple of case studies on this, and he was talking to us offline. And I'm interested to learn a little bit more about this because he said that electric utilities are a hazmat, and they are an IDLH in itself. Yeah. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued
too. Hopefully, there's some shocking information, and we will be conducting ourselves properly on that episode.
That's so waka waka. Even waka waka is kind of like so dated. My wife is like, she goes, nobody understands what the hell waka waka is. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, so I guess it would be, we've got Skibbity Riz. Would that be? Yeah, no cap.
All right. We're going to start to integrate some Gen Z talk in here to speak to the newer people. I'm sure they're out there. And even if you don't know what the hell we're talking about, maybe we'll have a little translation guide. That's fun. We should have Brian as the little translator on the bottom.
I was going to say, some of the little clips that we do, like, the social media stuff, we should have what we say and then have like one of our kids translate it into what the new generation, yes, I like it.
All right. We'll work on that. But we actually just shot it like 2 days ago, the Battery Destroyer 3, which was done in Chicago. They burnt up some cars. We got some interesting stuff. NIOSH was there. Some heavy hitter letter agencies were there. Good stuff.
It is good
Mike
stuff.
Mike just came back from Continuing Challenge.
It was a Continuing Challenge, and you just came back from the Label Master presentation.
Yeah, the Dangerous Good Symposium in hella hot, as the kids say, Arizona. They did 100 days over 100 degrees.
100 days over 100 degrees. That's absolutely insane. And it's not going to stop there for September. You'll be in Virginia the 17th to the 20th, right?
Yep, then the hot zone.
And then hot zone in October. So it just keeps on trucking.
So good stuff. And we have another clear out the mailbag.
We do. We love them. Guys, if you have questions, please send them in because, the ones, there's some that are like, okay, we just send them to the episode. And then there's others that are like, all right, this is a decent conversation. Let's bring this on air. And I think both of us did the same thing with this first one where we went, no, that's not possible. No, that's not possible. And his question is, or her, because, whatever. I took a look through the podcast archive and I didn't see right away any episodes that you guys have done on PIDs and VOCs. And we went bullshit. Yeah, I can't even imagine having, we're almost 10 years into this and we haven't talked about PID and VOC. I'm sure it's come up as like axillary subjects.
Yes.
But we should.
Ashamedly, the only thing I could find in the archives was episode 3 and 4. That's 003 and 004, where we only talked about toxics. And in there, we referenced PIDs and VOC. So this is a good one. We probably should do a much more expanded version of this because it is one of those linchpin meters that we use all the time.
All the time. So I guess we'll start off with what exactly is a volatile organic compound. And again, we're not going to get too deep into this. We're acknowledging the fact that, yes, we haven't done a show on it. We will do a full show on it. But what is a volatile organic compound? Well, if we break that word down backwards, right, we can get a really good idea of what it is. And let's start off with a compound. What's a compound? Pretty much anything that has chemicals in it, right? Any bunches of elements put together is going to be your compound. Then the next word would be organic. What's organic? anything that contains carbon and hydrogen, right? So in the world of chemistry, anything that contains carbon and hydrogen is something that we are going to be considered organic, and therefore kind of fall into this world of organic chemistry, which is a whole separate study of chemistry in and of itself. It's a huge study of chemistry because everything that we are and everything that we do as human beings is biological and is organic in chemistry nature. Things that get into our bodies that get screwed up, they get screwed up because it's organic chemistry. So we have a great deal of selfish desire to pull organic chemistry out of the equation, or to not want to have organic chemistry happen inside of us. Which then brings us to the VOC, the volatile part. The V in VOC, the volatile part, which is going to be volatile, which is how quickly things evaporate. And this makes total sense when you put it together, why this is something we're concerned about, because we are concerned about organic compounds that are going to mess up our body, that are going to easily get into the air.
I love that. And so, all right, so he gave you a long-winded of the definition of toxic.
Yeah, which is exactly right? If you want to look at it from a different point of view, the things that get into our body are toxics. Yes.
Are toxic, right? So I don't care if it's a compound and it's organic but non-volatile, because it's not coming in my face. So it's not a problem for me. So I care when it's, and again, do I care about volatile inorganic compounds? Could they screw me up? Yes, they can.
Absolutely.
But this specific meter, the PID, reads VOCs, two completely different things, right? So the PID is the methodology or the technology we use to pick up those VOCs. The VOC is what we're actually measuring that I care about not getting into my body.
Right, which in that generalized term is 100% correct. And then when we start to break it down, we're like, oh man, we're lying again.
Yeah.
Because
that's
exactly what you just said, right? Like in reality, it could be non-organic and it could harm me. It could be inorganic and it could harm me. And then even the whole PID thing is kind of like out the window, because it has to have the right IP. It has to be so the PID itself measures all of these different things, and we're supposed to only sort of care about the volatile organic compounds. It kind of becomes a little bit of a mishmash where you're like, the moment I start opening the layers of this onion, I find that I've been lying for a very long time.
Yes, and so the PID, I think, is a little bit easier because as a methodology, it's kind of easy to understand it. It's a photoionization detector or pelvic inflammatory disease.
Yes, either one. Depends on how Google decides to come back.
Yeah, which occupation you've taken up. And so the photoionization detector, that is measured in EVs, right? Electron volts. So you can think of this for the nerds out there as Dungeons and Dragons, right? Or any of those role-playing games that you guys do. That's your sword strength, right? And then the molecule or the compound has a shield strength of 10.6 IPs, ionization potential, right? So if the sword is stronger than the shield, I can ionize the molecule, and therefore I can see it. And if the shield is stronger than the sword, well, then it successfully passes the gauntlet and is unseen.
Yes.
I know it's the weirdest way of saying it. It just clicks in my head.
Yeah, for me, it almost, I kind of go back to high school where, some kids get beat up and get their lunch money taken away. And, it's the kids that are weaker that get beat up and their lunch money gets taken away. And I kind of think of that as like the electron, right? And if you're strong enough to hold on to your money, well, the bully doesn't beat you up and take your money. But there is a whole, there is pros and cons to this meter. There are when we would use it, how we would use it. There are little tricks of the trade in using it. So we're gonna forego all of that to put into its own separate PID and VOC episode. That way nobody again could turn around and be like, hey, you don't have a show on this. But if there is a show that you're looking for that we don't have, email us. And when we're done going through 461 episodes to be like, no, that can't be right, we have to have that, we'll do an episode on it.
All right.
Hey. Next question. Okay. So this one we've I'm sure that we've hit on it a couple of times, but maybe we just haven't talked about it the right way. So, I think we should walk through our logic thought process on why we're doing what we're doing. So the question is, hi guys, big fans of the podcast and the content that you guys put out. I have a question regarding chlorine leak and PPE, as there is debate among some members of the department, and I would like to have the correct information. I tried to go back on the podcast and the shows you guys have done regarding this topic, but the links were no longer working. The question is in an emergency setting, grabbing a victim in a chlorine leak, is bunker gear appropriate PPE to make the grab as a quick in and out? Thank you. So really quick off the bat, if the links weren't working, it probably because you're not a premium member. So shame on you. Become a premium member and get access to all of our content. If you are a premium member, let us know what links weren't available, because that means that we broke them somehow and we don't know how to fix them. That's one.
We'll get somebody on that.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to instinctively say it depends, but that's a shit answer, so I won't say it.
Well, okay, say it depends, and then I will ask you, Bob, what does it depend on?
Excellent. Thank you. It depends. I'm going to say, I'll give you the list off the top of my head. It depends on who's there. Like, who are the manpower? Are they effective? Are they quick? Can they get this job done quickly, or are you with the B team that's going to stumble and bumble and screw around and they're not dressed right? That's question one in my head. Question two, how much chlorine? Question three, do I have a charged hose line where I can push the chlorine? Question four, do I have air movement? Question five, is there a truck company on scene where I can rip the roof off or turn inside outside? Question five, what's the distance between them being in the ideal H and them being in less than ideal H? Question 17, what's my decon? Is it there? Because if I have a hose line, then I have a decon, and I could probably get them out of their clothes relatively quick. How far away are my ambulances? Do you see how much? It depends, but it depends on a lot of stuff.
I do see all the it depends, and I feel like this is a much more straightforward and much more simple answer from my point of view, which then brings to the exact point. He goes, I would like to have the correct answer. And I just want to show you there is no real correct answer on this, right? Like, me and Bobby have two very different thought processes on this. Although I can promise you we'll probably get to the same conclusion, okay? But our thought process is very different. Bob sees a whole lot of different variables that require to be answered while you're kind of making a decision. And I look at this as, for me, it's a pretty straightforward answer of yes, without a lot of the variables in play. And the reason that I see it that way is because if you're an operation, I'm assuming, I guess let me start off by saying, I'm assuming a rescue is being made by operations level people, because if you're waiting long enough for hazmat to arrive on scene to perform a rescue, it's a recovery. Or they didn't really need to be rescued, right? Like 40 minutes for hazmat to get in on scene. Well, if they are safe within 40 minutes, they're not even in the ideal H. What the hell are you doing a rescue for? So I guess I would look at it from kind of all right, well, the rescue's being made, a rescue's being done by operations level people. Their only real choice is PPE. So I imagine the people that would say we can't do this in PPE, for them, logically, the question would be, well, then I can't perform the rescue. And that is a very bad way of thinking, right? We're not in the business of saying, no, we can't do that, right? Especially when a life is involved. We're not supposed to go on the floor above without the protection of a hose line to get a kid. I don't think there's a firefighter out there that's going to say, yeah, no, I can't do that. So this really then becomes are we safe or capable of performing a rescue in bunker gear in a chlorine environment? And my answer is going to be give it a shot. Right, like you have to give it a try, and a lot of those variables I feel like are going to work themselves out. Like, for example, is the person in an IDLH environment, or are they in a heavy chlorine environment? Like, let's say the room is just saturated with chlorine, and you go in and you go to perform a rescue, and within seconds of you entering the room, you're starting to get burning on exposed skin.
That's called being situationally aware. Like, I've seen people go into a window of a fire where the entire square window is putting out flames.
Right.
Like, there could be people in there. I'm like, nobody's alive in there.
Nobody's alive, right? So that's right. That's the exact point. Is that we go for operations level, for life safety stuff. We go as far as we reasonably can. Just like a firefighter, we go as far as we reasonably can. You see a window that's the two sides, and it's blowtorching out. Well, I'm not performing a rescue. Like, could I make entry? I guess I could make entry in a full chlorine environment in bunker gear, but I'm not going in there for a rescue. Don't kid yourself that you're making a rescue. And that now is going to change your whole risk reward analysis, where it's like, well, what am I risking and what am I rewarding? If I can go in on the floor above without the protection of a hose line, make a grab and not pull out a burnt up skeleton, then that's a risk I'm willing to take. But it's not if I'm just pulling out a dead body. And if you walk in and you can't go any further in the bunker gear and SCBA that you have on, and this holds true with ammonia, and these are not hypotheticals. Like, these situations happen quite frequently, especially with ammonia. If you can't make it any further, that person is just not alive. They're not wearing any gear. They're so far beyond. So would I want to do anything else in bunker gear SCBA with chlorine? If my levels are low enough, I don't think that's a problem.
Right. I don't disagree with a single thing you said. I'm trying to paint a large picture for him, and I agree. Both of them are very important points. So, in a convoluted, I think that's your answer, Mr. Z.
Mr. Z.
There is no real answer. There's a lot of questions. That's probably one of the biggest points, and that's one of the things that people like. Well, you can't do it because we don't have answer for all these questions. Right. And then you come back to that 30 to 70 and the analysis paralysis type thing, where we can safety. At some point, we just have to go.
You just have to
do
go.
Some shit.
That's right. And you had really great points to contemplate, and those are all really, really, really valid points. When we have conversations like this, and I'm not going to say questions like this annoy me. They don't. They just make me realize that we're building technicians wrong. Right? Because they're looking for a yes or no answer, and you should walk into any hazmat situation realizing there is no yes or no answer, right? We're not firefighters anymore. We're not operations level guys. We're still firefighters. We'll always be firefighters. We're not operations levels guys anymore. So there is no if then, right? This question is trying to get an if then answer, where if I have chlorine and if I have a rescue, then I always use bunker gear, or I never use bunker gear. And in hazmat, there's no if thens anymore. You take all those variables that Bob talked about, Bob. They're a small sliver of what technicians have to deal with in order to come up with a legitimate answer. And our thought processes may be completely different, and depending on the complexity of the situation, our answers might be completely different and completely correct at the same time.
I think that's great.